with the dunk and the foul.
Welcome, guys. Good morning, and thank you all for coming. It's truly an honor and a privilege to host this amazing summit alongside a great Brandon Clarks and my very good friend, Tara McRae. So welcome to our campus. Welcome to our home. I'm going to talk a little bit about our campus before we get into the main presentation, but 10 years ago, New Balance set out to be the undisputed world-class top 3 global athletic brand. And obviously, there are tremendous amounts of commercial, demand creation, business strategy implications that go into that. But more importantly, we knew that in order to be a top 3 world-class global athletic brand, we needed to look like it, feel like it, and act like it. And that was the impetus behind our campus. It was meant to be the cultural epicenter of sport, music, innovation, and wellness in the city of Boston. And in order to have a world-class campus, we knew that we needed to have world-class partners. So what did we do? We reached out to the Boston Bruins, the Boston Celtics, Bose, AEG, to join us in this mission and in this vision to ultimately realize our goal of being a top 3 global athletic brand. So everything that you see here today is meant to be a physical manifestation of our vision, really pay homage to where we want to go and where we've been, and meant to be a reflection of that ambition. Just in those windows behind you, we opened up this facility about 3 weeks ago. It opened up with a 1,000-person private concert from Jack Harlow, and then 2 days later, we broke the world record in the distance medley, which is meant to be the fastest track in the world. So where are we? What is this building? So 5,000-seat indoor track right there. We're hosting the ACC as well as the Division I National Championships. Adjacent to this building, there's a 3,000-person concert venue with AEG, which will have about 150 shows per year. And then just right over there is a lock and key, highly confidential sports research lab where all of our 500 to 600 athletes will go for athlete testing, product testing. There's environmental chambers, hyperbolic chambers, force plates, like PhDs that are way smarter than any of us working on everything related to that. So before I begin into the brand component, I did want to thank the Brand Innovators team. This was like organizing a 500-person marketing wedding, and I couldn't believe the logistics, the organization, the operations that went into it, and Arielle Russo is really the one to credit for this. I know she was mentioned before, but she crushed it. No, she crushed it. She absolutely crushed it. So the next 2.5 days meant to be great for relationship building, learning, thought-provoking, and just getting out of the office or getting out of your house to think about things differently. Whenever I go to conferences like this, I always say if I can go away with one thing, that's a win. Just like one thing over 2.5 days. If I can be inspired by one thought, if I can learn one new tactic, if I can meet one new person that we could ultimately collaborate with, that's a win. So use that filter over the course of the next couple days. So probably over the last 6.5 years, you've noticed a major brand transformation from New Balance. And I can happily say that was not by accident. That was all on purpose, and it was all manufactured. And it really started with this idea of fiercely independent since 1906. And I apologize for all the New Balance people here because I'm oftentimes a broken record. So there's going to be no new content for you guys, but just bear with me. So our marketing department and our brand really lives by 2 major truths. The first major truth is the death of all major brands in sports, in retail, in fashion lies in the notion of stagnation. The death of all major brands, sports, retail, fashion lies in the notion of stagnation. What does that mean? That means that if you're not disrupting yourself or if you're not disrupting your industry, you will ultimately become disrupted. You have to make sure that you're inspiring a culture of calculated risk excellence. You have to challenge the status quo. And most importantly, you have to do things that make you uncomfortable. Growth and comfort are two concepts that can never, ever, ever coexist. So continue to make yourselves feel uncomfortable, continue to challenge the status quo, and push forward to the future confidently. That's mission number one. The second thing, and arguably the most important thing, easy to say, difficult to execute, is that as a marketing department, your marketing absolutely 100% has to reflect your values as a brand. Your marketing has to reflect your values. How you communicate to consumers should evoke your heart, your sentiment in an autobiographical fashion where you're constantly introducing yourself, who you represent, what you stand for, what you are as a brand. So, backtrack 6.5 years, we knew that we had to change a great 110-year-old products company into a world-class athletic brand that had emotion, passion, energy, and engagement. Previously, New Balance has always been a great company, but the only feelings that you had with New Balance were tangible, meaning my shoes are comfortable or they're quality. My shirt is lightweight. It helps me perform better. We had to transform that tangible feeling into an emotional feeling. The questions were, how could we evoke the sentiment of a 110-year-old company that's focused on tomorrow? How could we be a brand with heritage versus a heritage brand? How could we inspire a culture of calculated risk excellence and step aside from the sea of sameness that our industry had become? We didn't want to be the best footwear or apparel marketing brand we could be. What we really wanted to be was the ultimate challenger brand in any industry in the world. That was our goal. We weren't concerned with the competition. We were concerned with ourselves. And what that ultimately yielded was a process. And that process wasn't about creating a new topical marketing campaign or a new sexy slogan that was going to be fleeting. It wasn't about a moment in energy. It wasn't about this one-time heat or effect that would have on our brand. It was really about revealing our brand truth. What did we represent? What enabled New Balance to get through the first 110 years of our history, and what would propel us into the next 110 years in a more prosperous, aggressive, polarizing manner? So what did we do? Way too many workshops. That's one thing. But we had a lot of internal, external workshops, a lot of data capturing, and we ultimately found that the core principle that captured our entrepreneurial spirit, that captured the aggressive nature of the brand, was fiercely independent since 1906. This was our reason for being. And it was the first time as a brand where we had one single mantra, one single rallying cry that was our North Star. We identified it and we executed it. On the day of launch, about 5.5 years ago, in 132 countries around the world, for the first time, we had a totally harmonized, unified brand voice across digital, social, in-store, packaging, everything. And today, the notion of fiercely independent is our thesis. It's our thesis for marketing. It's the thesis for this building. It's a thesis for our product, for our merchandising, for our mindset. That's ultimately where we attained the success that we have today. Things like back-to-back Hypebeast Sneaker Brand of the Year, Fast Company Top 10 Brands in 2021, all started with this common notion of fiercely independent, harmonizing our brand voice, and really rallying the organization on something that was authentic and revealing versus newly created. Partnerships have obviously played a very pivotal role in our success over the course of the last few years. However, without the notion of fiercely independent, we would never have attained any of these partnerships. And like your marketing, your partnerships absolutely have to be a reflection of your values as a brand. Partnerships are an authentic extension of your brand in the marketplace. What do our ambassadors say about us? How are they communicating our brand values to new consumers? How do we activate them in a manner in which directly correlates to our brand values, the sentiments we are striving to evoke in the marketplace, and ultimately, what do we want consumers to feel emotionally from our content and the individuals that are representing our brand on a macro global level. So from a sports marketing standpoint, our goal is to be the most boutique sports marketing brand in the world. We want to be the best. We never want to be the biggest. We have a fewer, bigger, better approach where we expect a tremendous amount from our ambassadors. It takes a special and unique mindset to collaborate and work with a challenger brand in an enduring fashion. So we take a co-authored approach. With each of our face of brand athletes and ambassadors, we co-author our business plans. We co-author our strategy, our content, and our product. And what that has yielded is some of the greatest superstars in the world with a fiercely independent mindset. It's easy to go to one of the behemoths in our industry, but it takes a special, unique character who's truly fearless, truly independent to partner with a challenger brand. Raheem Sterling, Coco Gauff, Sadio Mane, Kawhi Leonard, Francisco Lindor, Sidney McLaughlin, all world-class athletes and leaders in their respective sports. We're in the macro sports landscape, we're also in a unique position because we are an authentic performance supplier, but we are also a branded sponsor. So in order to have that entitlement component in sports, so if you say awareness, entitlement, consideration, conversion, people always forget about the entitlement part. You have to have the entitlement to enter a new category. And in doing so, we felt as though we wanted to partner with some of the best organizations across the world, across all sports, who are like-minded and wanted to fulfill and realize our challenger brand-based approach. So thank you to many of those who are here today over the course of the next few days. The NBA, Boston Bruins, Boston Celtics, Red Sox, and Mets are taking part in this great event. Hope you guys get to meet them and hear from them. They're awesome organizations. Okay. Yep, sorry. So from a cultural partnerships perspective, and I have a couple more minutes, I'm going to hand it over to Tara. We were late to the game here. And another thing about New Balance is we don't ever necessarily want to be first movers in a new space. We want to do things that are right for our brand and represent our brand in its truest form. So from a cultural perspective, a lot of other brands were utilizing influencers for short periods of time. We wanted to make sure any partnership we had, like I said before, was co-authored, enduring, and truly a partnership versus a sponsorship. We like to think that we don't sponsor anyone, but we just have 500 amazing partners all over the world. So some of the biggest icons in the world you'll see here, Jack Harlow, Jaden Smith. Jack's on his second contract with us. He is now the most famous rapper in the world, but we identified him 3 years ago, and we've been curating this relationship. He has been an authentic fan of the brand since he was a child. Same with Jaden Smith, who is currently on our third contract with us. Storm Reed, Amine, Little Sims, IU, global ambassadors, all at the forefront of culture, in music, in film, representing our brand in a fiercely independent approach. We try to be the best at the integration of sport and culture, and having these individuals have a true connection, true love for the brand, enables us to show up more authentically in the marketplace than we ever have before. From a product perspective, our collaboration team and our product team have created world-class products partnerships. These are also a reflection of our values as a brand. One thing that we pride ourselves in global collaboration is partnering with brands who have never had a footwear partnership before. We like to have our fingers on the pulse of culture. We like to represent the entrepreneurial spirit, really cross-pollinate consumer groups, and ensure we're telling a unique part of the New Balance brand and a unique part of our brands, of the brands that we partner with. Aimé Leon Dore never had a footwear partnership prior to New Balance. Now they're arguably our biggest global partner and the hottest fashion brand in the world. We're working with Stone Island, which is traditionally a football/soccer lifestyle brand, only on performance-based collaborations. The collaboration industry has become somewhat diluted. We're flipping that on its side, coming up with world-class running product and field of play product with our partners in Stone Island. Figs, who you'll hear from next, is I'm not going to give away the story. I'll let them talk about it, but it's have been a long-term partnership for us that's purpose-based. And of course, Joe Fresh Goods, who you guys will all hear from tomorrow. If you're here, you have to hear from Joe Robinson. He is absolutely epic. So what's next for the New Balance brand? Well, one thing is Teddy Santis is our new creative director of Made in USA. He's the founder and creative director of Emilion Dor. So what you will see for us is taking our rich history in Made in USA, progressing that into the future with a new light, high price points, scarcity model, and just really being the best of the New Balance brand. Our goal from a footwear perspective is to be the highest priced and most luxury sneaker brand in the world in our space. And then from a macro standpoint, what we're focused on primarily for 2022, a lot of them are buzzwords, but we're trying to not be first movers, like I said. We're trying to do it authentically. So integrate our brand purpose in everything that we do. What's our digital asset strategy? You will see NFT, blockchain, digital twins from New Balance in the very near future. Sustainability is a huge initiative for us. More and more of our product will be sustainable, and we will be revealing that. However, we won't necessarily be marketing it. So a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline. We're pumped to have you guys here today. There's going to be a lot of great speakers, and I hope you just enjoy your time here and get to be immersed with Clarks and New Balance. Thank you. Yeah.
Check, check, check. That's much better. Thank you so much, Chris. First off, welcome to all of you. It's so nice to actually see human beings in person. Chris and I were talking this morning, and he was like, when was the last time you stood up in front of people and spoke? That was December of 2019, so this is definitely all new. And thank you to Chris, has been an amazing partner and friend, and to Jeff and New Balance for hosting us here today. And to Ariel, I'm sorry, we have to take another round of applause for putting up with us. So welcome, all of you. So hopefully many of you have heard of Clarks before. Hopefully many of you have Clarks on. I see a lot of nodding heads or have Clarks in your closet. But just a little sneak peek behind the brand before we kick off. Oh, well, that's fantastic. We need a picture of that. Thank you. We empower everyone with the freedom to move comfortably. That's our mission. And every single word was chosen very, very specifically. And this mission is actually new to the company. We're a 197-year-old brand with a lot of amazing rich history and authenticity. I love what my friend Chris said, is using that heritage instead of being a heritage or an old brand. And 197 years can get pretty stodgy. You constantly have to innovate, and you constantly have to evolve. And that's what we've done dramatically over the past year. It was the right time in the journey. It sounds like Chris and the team went through that about 6.5 years ago. We've gone through that in the past year. This is a new mission statement for us. This is our rallying cry. It's the filter by which we put everything through. That's our brand architecture. So those are the segments of our brand. So I know many of you, if you are fans of Clarks, you're well aware of this and probably have product in different selections there. This goes across the entire brand and is extremely important for us. And as I mentioned, in the step change in the evolution of the Clarks brand. And when I say we dramatically overhauled the brand and the marketing strategy in 2021, it was from start to finish. We're a completely different brand and have a completely different marketing strategy in the past year than we have had in the past decade. And if you don't believe me, you can ask my team who's sitting here nodding for me today. The new introduction of our brand mantra, Fearlessly Independence, an amazing one. For us, it's Clarks for the world ahead. We used to sign off our brand and promote our brand under shoemakers since 1825. Awesome, shows heritage. Then we were using then, now, always. Also pretty cool. But for us, it lacked emotion. And it lacked where we were in the world today and where our brand was going. So you guys are getting a sneak peek. We've launched For the World Ahead internally and with some of our partners, but it hasn't gone consumer-facing yet. So instead of listening to me, I'm just going to roll a quick video to give you a little bit more insight into what that means.
The great ones don't need to tell you how great they are. No one's ever written the future by living in the past. It's why we're shaping a legacy that pays it forward instead. Empowering everyone with the freedom to move comfortably. To move together. Because the truth is, the world's a wild place these days. And the goal shouldn't be to make it through. It should be to make a difference. If 200 years of shoemaking has taught us anything, it's that unless you're keeping up, you're going to get left behind. You have to originate, not imitate. You have to behave courageously. Act responsibly. You have to stay true to your roots while staying true to tomorrow. Because the world's going to keep moving. And the future will be brighter if we stay out in front of it. Clark's, for the world ahead.
So a bit of a sneak peek into the future direction of the company, which for us is really exciting. And as I mentioned, it is a step change for us over the past year. But with 197 years of amazing, rich history, we are staying true to our roots. For those of you who do not know the history of Clark's, started out in 1825, two brothers, James and Cyrus Clark, in this tiny little English village where our headquarters are still today, in Street, Somerset, over in England. These two brothers, they had a rug-making shop in the building that we're still in over there, and they had all of this extra material, and it was piling up, and they said, we got to do something with this material. And they thought about it, and one of the brothers wrapped it around his foot, and the first slipper was born. And that was pretty good, sold it to the community, and they realized, I think we have something here, and they started making shoes. And here we are, 197 years later, still founded on innovation and sustainability, two core things to us. We are absolutely rooted in innovation. I'm not going to stand up here and say 197 years we've been the most innovative brand in the world. Absolutely not. There's been years or decades where we haven't been at our best and we haven't gone back to the roots of innovation. When we do that, that's when we're at our best. And you're probably wondering how Clark's 197-year-old brand is here talking about marketing innovation. It is, if it wasn't before the pandemic for all of you, I'm sure it is now, and how we innovate from a marketing standpoint. Yes, this whole COVID pandemic thing accelerated so many things, and everybody's talking about how innovation is so important, and I do hope that this is the most dramatic thing we'll ever deal with in our lives. But disruption happens all the time. I tell my team, similar to what Chris said, you got two options. You can disrupt or you can be disrupted. That's it. We got to figure it out. Very important to us. And when I was young, but when the internet started, I'm sure that changed the game for marketers, not knowing what to do with that. I do remember, I'm old enough to remember when social media took hold. That changed the game for marketers. The metaverse, Web3, is changing the game for us. We talked about this yesterday. I think it's so exciting to be a marketer right now because it's crazy with the mixture of traditional and the future between the metaverse and Web3. All of this is very, very exciting, but you have to do it what's authentic to your brand. Don't just jump in because it's a cool trend. Figure it out and make sure you don't jump into something that doesn't align with your brand. There's been many things that, we're a very, as you're hearing, innovative but sustainable brand, and that's a major focus for us. So we're not going to go into a partnership or jump into something that we don't believe aligns with who we are. But the importance is there. Those people who were pushing the boundaries of innovation fared much better during the start of the pandemic than brands that didn't. And of course, I'm sure everybody's talking about it for sure since then. It can come in many forms. For us, there's different ways that we've brought innovation dramatically into our marketing strategy. So whether it's something like our launch of Roblox in the Seekiverse, we have a shoe over in the UK and this is when we talk about for authenticity, over in the UK, we have the majority market share for kids business. Anybody who is from England over here will know what I'm talking about. Those of us who grew up in the States don't know, but you grow up, you start out in a pair of Clark shoes, and you're wearing Clark shoes all throughout your childhood because of the school uniform, and it becomes part of you. So we have a massive market share over there. We launched this new shoe, which is a multi-purpose shoe, and we thought this is right. Obviously, knowing the consumer and where the kids are at, Roblox made sense for us. But we used it as a killer product marketing initiative as well. So in the features and benefits of the shoe, which typically in the shoe business, you talk about these amazing features and here are the benefits of it, we're just showing the kids. And the kids are able to have power-ups with their characters in this game to show the amazing features and benefits of it. So it's not just a cool thing within the metaverse, we're using it strategically to product market this amazing new product that we're launching over there within the UK. It can also come in different forms. It doesn't always have to be the fun and exciting new things in gaming and metaverse and Web3. It can come in the form in how you develop product and how you bring product to life. A couple of years back, we started a conversation with Ronnie Feig of Kith, and he wanted to come on board and help us develop what we called a new category. So the hybrid between the world of sneakers and the world of brown shoe. And he came on board as our creative director and category creator of Ace Street. So Ronnie Feig for Clarks. From the development and the concept through all the way through the process of the content development to how we bring it to life, to the distribution, to the life cycle management, completely embedded in the brand, not just taking a product that we've had historically and putting a spin on it, helping us co-create a brand new product category for us, which has been absolutely fantastic. In addition, it could be some of the partners that we use. And as Chris talked about, and I couldn't agree more, is there has to be authentic. You have to know your consumer, the consumer centricity, and the brands that matter. And working with our partners, the innovation comes in how we bring this to life. You may see that some of the products are similar in the sense that we use the same silhouette, our famous wallaby. However, there's no two on this page that are alike. We start, which can be painful at times, but we start with a clean piece of paper every time we bring a partner in, and how do we want to activate this together? We do not have a formulaic approach, which is a lot of hard work. When you bring a partner, I mean, anybody here that works in any form of a category where you have to develop product and market it, you know what a painful process that is with a lot of opinions and a lot of different people. You bring in another company into the mix, it's crazy. So you have to be super, super focused on your brand and what you're trying to get out of it, because it can get watered down fast, and that's the last thing you want. Everybody wants to benefit from these collaborations. So we push innovation through how we partner with some of our collaborations. And then who represents our brand? And this man behind us is somewhat responsible for bringing us together today. And you mind if I tell the story? So I left Clark's for a year. I call it my business sabbatical for a year at a startup. I came back to Clark's and I called Chris up and I said, "Hey, I'm back at Clark's. I think it'd be cool if we did something together." He was like, "Oh, congratulations. I'll call you back in a week." Hung up. I was like, "Okay. I think that went well." Called me back a week later and was like, "Hey, so we're signing Raheem Sterling. I know you guys are working with him. Let's do something together." So fast forward, here we are standing up in front of all of you to bring together our marketing teams and marketers in the local area to talk about marketing innovation, all because of this guy. It is so amazing that we, two different brands, are working with this amazing ambassador. Innovation comes in many forms, through a partnership, through the person that we chose to represent our brand. We have an insane, rich, anybody who's been to Jamaica, you put a pair of Clarks on in Jamaica, it's like a local celebrity. One of my team members, James, and I had to travel down there recently, and they thought we were like, when we told them we worked at Clark's, like complete local, huge celebrities. The brand has such rich heritage there. Raheem with his Jamaican roots, obviously growing up in England, so he's had this attachment to the brand. So it's not, it is an innovative that we're moving into, because typically you see these amazing sport athletes work with some premium, amazing sports brands like New Balance. But for us, it was, how do we do this partnership differently? How do we take the world's leading casual shoe brand and partner with this superstar? And we haven't launched a lot of that stuff yet. That's coming later this year into next year, but I will tell you there's a lot of innovation and stuff that we've never done before. So as I mentioned, innovation can come in many different forms. Yes, there's the buzzwords, the metaverse and Web3 and all that's really exciting, but there's simple things that you can innovate in your day-to-day marketing plans, and that's what's extremely important. Chris said it, and I said it before, you can disrupt or you can be disrupted. And the only thing I will say is don't jump on cool trends because they're happening. Make sure it's right for your consumer and make sure it's right for your brand, and then figure out a way to authentically do it. So with that, thank you all. And I think we have a clip of the man that brought us together to kick this off.
Hi everyone, I'm Raheem Sterling. Welcome to the New Balance and Clark's Innovators Summit. As you know, I'm very proud to obviously work with New Balance and Clark's, and I just wish everyone enjoys the summit.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tara. With that, I'd like to welcome Deshan Kumar, the Director of Business Development at the Trade Desk, to lead our follow-up Fireside chat. So let's give a big round of applause for Deshan.
Check.
Hello. I know what you're all thinking. It'd be so much cooler if we had Raheem Sterling up here instead of me, but we've got me here today. Thank you both for the opening, and also thank you for getting me out of the house and out of the office. I can already tell you that I've learnt a whole bunch just from your opening, so thank you.
Thank you.
So let's just start with something, just a really light-hearted question. Since you both work at awesome shoe brands, I think everyone here wants to know, what shoes are you guys here wearing today?
I'm wearing the ALD 550s.
Very cool.
You can buy them on StockX for like 3 times the price.
Those are my favorite New Balance that I have right now. I'm wearing the Clark's Originals Desert Molly, which has been day in, day out, year in, year out, my favorite style from our Clark's Originals line.
Awesome. I know I'm not wearing one of your shoes, but I am wearing my favorite ALD t-shirt, which you both partner with. We do. Which kind of brings you to my first question. So one of the main themes you guys spoke about today was around partnerships and collaborations and how important it is for you both. Do you mind just expanding on that just a little bit? And Tara, I'm going to just start with you.
Yeah, I mean, as we both spoke about it, it's we use partnerships and collaborations in a couple different ways. One, to bring a new consumer into the brand. But I mentioned before, we're very particular about who we partner with because, 2, it is also to excite the current consumers that we have, or it could be to help us launch a new product. I do think there's, in the oversaturation of collaborations out there, you have to be super particular about it. And we, as I mentioned, we start with a plain piece of paper every single time. You can't get formulaic. And Chris and I talk about this all the time, is you see other brands out there, as they get formulaic, the consumer starts to tune it out. So the partner is only, bringing the partners together is only half of it. The second half is how you truly activate it.
Chris, what about you?
Yeah, there's so many partnerships that you can have, right, across fashion, sport, culture, music, gaming. And I think at the very core of it, at the nucleus of it, you want your partners to say something unique about your brand through a different lens to a consumer you're not necessarily currently communicating with. So if you use that filter, and you're using the filter of you want to make sure that your values are being expressed in a contemporary, modern-day fashion, the best thing to do is find a partner that you believe is an authentic extension of your brand in the marketplace, whether it's global, whether it's regional, whether it's in sport or culture. It has to be a co-creative process. And I think consumers can see through that, right? Like, we don't rent our ambassadors. We don't rent our volume. We co-create to authentically build and then create further extensions of the New Balance brand in the marketplace.
So I'm sure everyone here knows about the hype with shoe and the sneaker collaborations. We're seeing more and more collaborations across different brands and across different industries. I want to kind of touch on just how do you build something that's different from the rest of the other sneaker brands, the other shoe brands, and what other brands are doing across other industries, and kind of dig into that a little bit more. Chris, do you want to continue on?
Sure, and there's always a starting point, and the starting point could be the lowest barrier to entry in a product or a shoe or a shirt or whatever. But I think once you develop trust with a partner and you develop a very collaborative working relationship where you have mutual interests and mutual values and you can express it in a way that's common, that's when you can really start to test the boundaries and build something new. I think probably the best example of one of our most recent collaborations that is really an industry first is we just opened a gym in Lower Manhattan with Aimé Leon Dore. And that gym is a New Balance Aimé Leon Dore gym. It's meant for the community. It's also meant for the best AAU team in New York City. Our professional basketball players will be coming through. The gym is co-branded, but again, it has that community vibe, it has the professional sports vibe, has the amateur sports vibe. And you can't play in that gym unless you're wearing New Balance. So that's a kind of like another physical manifestation of how a great partnership can come to life in a unique fashion. But still, it's rooted in sport, basketball. It's rooted with common values partners, Aimé Leon Dore and New Balance. And then ultimately, there's a product payout at the end where we'll be able to showcase our product in the gym, use the facility for content, and of course, welcome the local community to have a more engaging, physical, and intimate touch point with our brand.
Tara, is there anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add is I'm personally a big fan of longer term partnerships, as Chris was alluding to with Aimé Leon Dore, and us with Ronnie Feig as well. And I think the longer term partnerships, you start to co-create and build something together. That's not to say we don't do the collaborations where we collaborate on a product drop, one or two times. The longer term ones is when you start to really build something meaningful to deliver to the consumer. And I think that's where the consumer can see through this so easily. You drop just to buy the cool. We're not trying to buy the cool. We're trying to embed ourselves and be culturally relevant and relevant to the consumer.
Yeah, and I forgot to say, it just popped into my mind when Tara brought it up. But like with sports partnerships, we've entered 2 major global sports in the last 6 years, soccer and basketball. We didn't have any product. So these partners, whether it be Kawhi, NBA All-Star Finals MVP, Sadio Mane, or Raheem Sterling, they challenge us to get better. And they challenge us from a performance perspective, from an innovation perspective. And when you're building product for the best athletes in the world, you have to be up to par. So there's a lot of creative and performance friction that enables us to grow. And then same with Jaden Smith. With his signature shoe, that's something New Balance would have never created. So he challenged the culture of our creation and really forced us to be uncomfortable. And I saw that shoe and I was like, I don't know if we should do this. Like, I could never, ever wear that. But that was good because a lot of people would, and we would have never created that anyway, and it gave a new facade to our end logo.
So 2 other themes that you both spoke about. So being heritage brands, 100 and nearly 200 years, which is wild, by the way. How do you use that? And then you've also spoke a lot about innovation. And then how do you be innovative and then tie that to your marketing strategies as well?
Sure. I often say to the team that we had to stop looking in the rearview mirror, look in the windshield. We got to look forward, let the past inform us. So to use that heritage and authenticity, it's amazing. And having worked for startup brand and brands with rich heritage, there's so much excitement to excavate from. We have an archive like no other. Unbelievable. 200 years of shoemaking, unbelievable. You have to wear your white gloves. The guy goes crazy if you start taking pictures and touching stuff. Unbelievable. We have that we can draw from, but we can't rest on that because the younger consumer today, there is some level of caring, but they don't care about that. They want to see what you have for them today and tomorrow, so we're always pushing the boundaries. So it's amazing. We excavate from that. We let it inform us, but we are focused on where we're going in the future. We have 200 years behind us. Like, we're focused on the next 200 right now.
Yeah, Deshan. Well, we are a brand with heritage. We're not a heritage brand. So that's the first thing. And I think the second thing is like you have to look at your archive as masterpieces. And for us, you could say like 7-8 years ago, New Balance was like the ultimate dad shoe brand. But we have the same products now that we had then. So how do you communicate, demonstrate, portray, convey the things that you consider to be masterpieces in a relevant manner to the modern day contemporary consumer? A lot of our products haven't changed. The stories have been different. So if you lead with the story versus leading with the product, then you open a whole new door of how your brand, your products, how they can be communicated and engaged with on a global level. Partners come into that, but also, the marketing philosophy and North Star of your brand plays a pivotal role in how you communicate yourself.
So building on that a little bit, so you guys have brands and products. I think a lot of brands want to be in your position. They sell out in minutes. They hit the secondhand market going at multiples of 3 and 4. You have celebrities that highly desire your products. How do you use that and then use that to build and sell the rest of your product lines as well? Tara?
So we call it hero to halo. It's all part of a distinct lifecycle management strategy where we have, an incubation period, utilize a scarcity model, and then directly correlate our collaborations to our inline product. We oftentimes also launch scarcity models on our own without collaborators. But it comes down to strategy and the intent of the franchise or the model that you're putting into the marketplace and having that red thread that's connected. You can always have random acts of hype, random acts of sellout. But in order to sustain that, there has to be a distinctive lifecycle management strategy. You always have to have the wheels in motion, and you have to be thinking ahead always, because if you're looking at what happened yesterday, tomorrow will not occur for you.
I agree with everything that Chris just said in the approach. What I will add to that is we also use it as design inspiration. I think there's so you've developed this amazing, cool collaboration, and you try to do a takedown of that, it'll fail miserably, and then you're uncool for the next one. So that one-to-one model, to use it as the inspiration for design and to push the boundaries of design, and through some of the collaborations, whether it be with Ronnie Feig for A Street or some of the other ones that we have, they push the boundaries. They push the marketing and the product team so hard to the brink, then it informs and it inspires the team to then, within our inline product, to really push the boundaries there. That's where we found a lot of success. So using that externally, obviously, for the consumer relevance, the excitement, the hype, and all of that, but internally, too, to inspire the teams.
Clearly, I'm angling here to get the inside scoop for the next drop, so we can take that part offline. I want to change the theme just a little bit, and I think we have to kind of acknowledge the last craziness of the 2+ years. I've touched on this through your presentations earlier, but have you changed your strategy because of what's happened in the pandemic, and then how are you now engaging with your customers differently than you were previously?
Well, I think for us at Clark's, we went through a really, really rough patch during that time period, more so than other brands and companies out there. So for us, it was easy. You had 2 options: take a risk and innovate, or die. So for us, it was really pushing the boundaries. And, you have to find what's right and the right level of risk for your brand. No risk, probably not good. All risk, probably not good. What is the right level in between? So for us, it was really pushing the boundaries and taking that calculated risk. And yes, we, during the pandemic, obviously pushed the boundaries in many different areas. But I think, as I mentioned, we had a stellar 2021 from any brand metric you want to look at to our financials, and that was because we got that juice back. We got that risk, the right level of risk taking and innovation back into the company.
Do you want to build on risk taking?
Yeah, so I totally agree with that. And I think the pandemic really exemplified the notion that if you're standing still, you're moving backwards, right? Along with what Tara said, I think for us, in addition to calculated risk excellence, we really had to eliminate ambiguity, and we had to align on decisions and move forward. It didn't necessarily matter if that decision was the right decision, but if we aligned, we moved forward, we made an impact, and we continued to grow, learn, and progress. And I think the impetus behind that yielded, 2 of the most profitable and highest revenue years in our 116-year history, and we're very well positioned for the future. So it all came down to not standing still, because if you were standing still, you're moving backwards.
Awesome. Great last few years. Coming back to partnerships, so I think some of the greatest partnerships are created in the US. You guys have built some amazing global partnerships. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on the importance of being global brands and how you build global cohesion? Tara, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and we've gone back and forth on this, where it's been a centralized brand approach, which in my opinion personally doesn't work, and we've been a totally disconnected regional brand approach, which again, I don't think it works. It's that hybrid model of having a global brand identity and knowing who you are with local activations. We call it glocal over at Clark's, but that's one thing that we found is a really, really good balance for us. And I've also found that, there's been so much great innovation that's come from all the different regions around the world that then can become global. So where it used to be that the central global team would push out the content absolutely the wrong way, we developed the brand identity, the global direction, all of that. The regions activate it. We've had, which has empowered people to really innovate and create amazing work that then we've able to use in other markets around the world. So I'm a firm believer in global brand identity with local activation.
Chris, do you want to build on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the art behind it is global creative unification. The science behind it is attribution. And for us, our goal is to be unified and harmonized with our brand image in all countries around the world, 132. We take a global first approach with everything that we do. If a product shows up on mobile, it's going to be global, right? So everything that we do has the global first filter and needs to resonate locally as well. So that's essentially how we look at it. But the creative voice harmonized globally, and then the goal at the end of the day is to have brand attribution and unquestionable identification with the New Balance brand.
Awesome. So we have a couple more minutes. Before I have one last question for you both, but before we do that, is there anything that we've missed that I think that everyone here should learn about that you would want to touch on?
I don't know if you do. I don't think so. You're going to be hearing from us a few more times, so if we forget anything, we'll hit that. But hopefully everybody, I will say, I didn't get to say this in my opening, or I forgot to say it in my opening. We have been working on this program for about 6 months now, and that's why I wanted you guys to clap for Ariel, because she has put up with us, especially me, for 6 months. My team knows what that means. Has been absolutely amazing. We wanted to make sure, I know how hard it is to step away from the office. I know, and I thank you all for stepping away. But to learn something, hopefully we've scheduled an amazing 3 days. As Chris said, you can take away one thing, it's worthwhile. So we've got I'm excited to learn from some of the amazing CMOs and marketing leaders from around the country here today. So hopefully everybody will have something to take away that I'm really excited about, but you'll hear from both Chris and I throughout the week.
By the way, it was not that hard to get out of the office and get out of home. It was really easy. Chris, anything you want to touch on?
I think I'll just reinforce the discomfort point. I think, in order to transform your brand, to break through, especially in today's competitive digital environment, you just make yourself feel uncomfortable every day. And that could be from a personal perspective, that could be from a brand perspective. Flat creative cultures are what's going to break through. Good ideas can come from anywhere. Make sure that you embrace that. And I think that's the majority of the success that we've seen is putting ourselves in uncomfortable positions and moving forward with alignment, not necessarily agreement.
So the one final question I have for you, and you were touching on it a little bit just then. There's a lot of brands here. I'm sure there's a lot of brands here that are looking to do their first partnerships and their first collaborations. Do you have advice, or what advice do you have for brands that are looking to enter in their first collaboration and partnership in terms of how they approach it, and then also, most importantly, how they execute on it as well?
Yeah, sure. I always, why? Like, why do you want to enter this partnership? And we put the consumer at the heart of everything we do. Easy to say, tough to do. Be consumer-centric, and you'll know, is this partnership right for you? What I will say is, do not lose yourself and your brand through that partnership. As I mentioned before, anybody that's developing product knows how hard it is to do it internally with the team you have. Never mind bringing in another company or brand that has the same dynamics to come together. So it's really, really important that you focus on who you are as a brand. But again, consumer at the heart of it and why you're doing it. And I wouldn't do it to just do it, because I do think that there is a saturation that's occurring in the marketplace. So the disruption, being uncomfortable, risk-taking. I can't tell you how many times I agree with Chris when he talked about the basketball shoe. We'll put something out and I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable. I hope that's a good thing. And most of the time when I am is when it is most successful.
Chris, any last advice?
Yeah, I think first look inward and really have a strong understanding of who you want to be. Tara called it, why, like, you have to understand who you are and who you want to be. It starts with that. And then finding like-minded partners where you're going to be able to co-author authentic activations. It's a difficult thing to balance, but never do a partnership for purely revenue implications, because consumers are going to see that. It has to say something about the heart and soul of your brand. So before you even consider a partnership, make sure that you understand where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. Combine all of those things and then let it rip.
That was awesome. Thank you. I learned a lot. I hope everyone here learned a ton in this last 30 minutes, actually the last 45 minutes. And thank you both, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Deshan.
Thank you guys very, very much.